What's up, Taurus? This is your home light security reading for the month of June for all Taurus signs. If you've never watched the video before, please look down below in the description box because I forgot to put the little banner up here. And long story short, if you're a sun, Taurus, moon, Taurus, rising Taurus, will help you to understand how to follow it better. You might want to take a break, go down there and read that so you know how to view the readings. As well as I want to throw out there, I am doing, I have some readings and some counseling, some shaman counseling and so forth that I am starting to bring forward, and all of that information because I have sales that are down below. So you might want to look into that if you're interested. All of that is in the description box. With that being said, let's jump back into your month of June. I'm sorry, I have right down here underneath my table, I have like a cat bed, and my cat was just coming through, and I'm trying to make sure that he was able to get through without knocking any of the stuff down. Taurus, you guys have a lot of energy going on. A lot of energy going on. You got a ton of planetary energy actually in your sign, kind of just all balled up on top of each other. And it's definitely going to be illuminating, especially as you come further into the end of the month and enter into next month. I mean, it's illuminating your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem, your inner security of that, your manifestation process. It's tapping into your internal feelings of your value, feeling liberated or the lack of it, your dignity, value, worth, sensitivity of knowing thyself, your character, how you're choosing to view the world around you. You have a lot of energy going on. But I am getting some of it is a little bit over empowering for some of you. Some of it is a little bit like, what is it, bull in a china shop? Some of you where you're not fully feeling in your power, you're feeling threatened, are a little bit more of push to receive, a little bit more inflexible and needing the go, 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 not needing, but the desire of feeling security by pushing to receive, trying to go at your pace instead of the pace that's best for you, and learning how to speak with authority, actually coming from authority instead of fear. And you're illuminating a lot of this in possible shadow energy or possible mirror energy with some of your relationship zones, because it has to do with where you're going to be having the full moon take place and then where you're having the new moon take place. So it is tapping into some, you know, under the belt core fears of facing the truths. Some of you are going to have some disappointment. This is going to be dealing with the zeal point, with the thymus, with the heart. Mainly, I am getting a little bit of the sacral chakra as well. This is just coming into truly knowing, feeling, honoring your power, respecting yourself. But some of you are working through pride areas and doubt over your path, is what I'm getting. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a learning curve. Let's see, Taurus. You two seem to be talking. Let's pull this deck up. Oh, I lost a card. Hold on one second. And then after we make it through the cards, I'll get into the astrology. What does Taurus need to hear for the month of June? What does Taurus need to hear for the month of June? Does Taurus need to hear for the month of June? No, I'm not taking that. What does Taurus? Sorry, my hair is getting in my nose. Okay, I'm going to come back for that in a second. First card out is Unicorn. This is believe in your magic. Believe in yourself. Believe in your own glow, your own ability to shine. Believe in yourself. It brings you magic. It brings you fortune. It can bring you everything if you'll believe in yourself instead of having to push to receive, is what I'm really getting. What else? They're saying you need to take physical action. You have the keys. They're already inside of you. You just have to tap into them. And I've got like major illuminating light. I'm feeling like I just have the sun shining on my head. So, I mean, this is definitely, you can be anything you want to be. You can go anywhere you want to go, but it all has to do with if you believe it, if you feel it, if you acknowledge it, if you'll tap into it. Gargoyle. You are protected. You are protected. It just, I don't read this deck. I don't look at what the books say half the time. For me, this is gargoyle. The gargoyles are known to be sitting on top of the churches. They protect the churches, but they can also, to some people, look scary. So you're protected if you trust in yourself. You're protected if you get to know yourself. You're protected if you honor the vessel that is inside, the sacred energy that is inside. But this also has to do with seeing the scary in yourself. Let's see what this other deck has to say. Picked up the same deck. I mean, the same bag. What does Taurus need to hear for the month of June? This month has a lot of shadow work. And a lot of people are just talking about moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. But there's a lot of shadow work here. This is family. I mean, I don't know if I showed it to you. This is family. It speaks to you of blood bonds, kindred spirits, ancestry, home life, community, relationships. It is to penetrate and to radiate. It is those that you keep that are close to you. Not all families, are by blood. Some are, but I mean, hold on, I'm trying to pull a card out. Innocence. I'm sorry, the way it was written in the cursive, I couldn't read it at first. I was like, what is this? It is innocence. It is to empower and to share. It is to trust in the nature. It is spontaneity. It is open-heartedness. It is the unexpected. I mean, it's the lotus flower coming with a brand new baby right out of the person's head, out of the third eye. This is rebirthing, not rebirthing with the family, rebirthing with yourself, with your ancestry, with the bloodline, with all of this is coming into building the new radiance of where you can take your life. It's a phoenix energy. And this is definitely a very this is a good thing. It really is. The only thing here is, are you seeing yourself? Hold on, I got another deck going. What does Taurus need to hear for the month? Thank you. Hold on. Fifth house, creativity. The fifth house is what you enjoy. It is what makes you tick, what is fun. It is your hobbies. It's your play zone. Are you getting to know, respect, feel, be you? Are you allowed time for you? Are you allowed to experience you? Are you coming into your sacred energy of yourself and whatever that expression is, and being able to enjoy where you're maturing and growing? This is part of what this is, of where you're taking all of this energy. This is actually quite beautiful. It's just, it might be overwhelming because, like I said, you have all of these energies. I'm trying to move my cards. All of these energies that are moving from your first house and into your second. You have the full moon that's going to take place in opposition of you, but then you also have the new moon at the end of the month and all of this other energy moving into your second house. So this is all about breathing, breathing your soul self, your spirit into life, into existence, into fruition, into light. This is actually very good for you. It's just asking you if you're truly seeing yourself. Now, when I go into the astrology, I usually go wherever the sun is and I work all the way around. It's just the way that I do it. But I want to tell you a little bit about the energies that are coming in for the month. You have on the 13th, Mercury moves into Gemini, coming out of your house, going into the second house. On the 14th, you have the full moon on the galactic center, more or less, in Sagittarius. On the 21st, the sun moves into Cancer. On the 22nd, you have Venus moving into Gemini, leaving your house. On the 28th, you have the new moon in Gemini. On the 28th, you also have Neptune, which is going retrograde. Not to mention, I keep reminding everybody that a big part of the shadow work is the fact that Jupiter in a month and a half is about to go retrograde. So it's already in shadow. And it has a lot to do with the creativity right there. And you have Saturn in retrograde as well as Pluto in retrograde. And actually, I'm being called to do this a little bit different than I normally do. I start with the sun, but I'm feeling the need to start with Taurus and work my way all the way around as it normally would be. But the reason I say this is because the house that you are actually in is wherever the sun is. And so that's the house you're walking through. But I feel like they're wanting you to understand more deeper. And that is why they're having me go back to Taurus at the first house and work it all the way around. Now, Taurus, you guys have pretty much in the second and the third decan. Second decan is always the lesson is being learned. The third is either it's hitting you beneath the belt to make sure you got the lesson or you're not going to get the lesson. Long story short. Now, Taurus right now has Uranus in it. It has Venus in it. It has Pallas in it. It has the North Node in it. And technically until the 13th, it has Mercury in it. Now, here's the kicker. Your first house is being illuminated by all of this. It's being illuminated by your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom, learning how to trust in that believe in that. Bring that to the surface. Bring it into identity. Show the world and yourself who and what you are. It's in the ability of bringing it into physical reality and seeing how that can change how you view the world according to how liberated you feel as a human being. In your own skin, in your own character. The North Node here is teaching you everything you need to learn about yourself in order to move forward. Venus is asking you to touch base on some of the sensitivities that show you what you like most about yourself, but also show you what you don't, so that you can learn who that character is, learn how to accept it, or make, spiritual healing pattern changes to be more of what you like, of what you wish to be. This is all part of what it's showing you. Pallas is Athena, the warrior goddess here. Being able to strategically know and understand yourself on a soulful level. Getting in with the owl and the wisdom of true self-knowledge, as well as ancestral, because that's part of where you come from. Then you have Mercury. Mercury leaves on the 13th and is moving into your second house. Now the sun is here. I'm going to be far on the opposite sides of each other, but the sun is here. The sun is still taking rulership of that second house right now. And this is the area that you're walking into. And then you're going to be walking into your communication zone. And the sun is illuminating where you are feeling powerful in your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem, where you are feeling liberated, or where you're feeling the victim, or where you're feeling manipulated, or where you're feeling naive. The sun is illuminating if in fact you're submissive or in your power. If in fact you feel valuable to yourself, you feel that worth or not. Now you have Mercury coming in, which is going to also be speaking to you about honest communication with yourself, so that you can honestly not just communicate with yourself the truth, but so that you can communicate outwardly what you truly desire by knowing yourself in a more solid, soulful place. But here's the kicker. The sun, after the 21st, is going to be moving into Cancer, which is your third house. Now you have Lilith here and you have Sirius here. Not the Sirius star, Sirius. And on a universal level, that's the fourth house. But for you, that's the third house. The fourth house on a universal level is speaking to the roots of who and what you are. It's speaking to you of tapping into your inner emotional security, or showing you where your inner emotional security is lacking. You can never lose yourself unless you've misplaced the belief in it. You've put the sword down. Now, for you, this is your communication zone. See, and the reason I'm explaining it this way is because Lilith is not exactly very powerful here in Cancer. Lilith is usually all about standing up in her power, asking you what you burn for, not being arrogant necessarily, but finding your value. And see, here in Cancer, she becomes more nurturing. And what happens is she loses that independence and she gets more submissive. Well, you also have Sirius here. Sirius is asking you whether you're nurturing or neglecting the energy. On a universal level, that's tapping into the inner emotional security, the roots of what built you to be who you are. And if what built you in healthy ways or not. And it's also talking about the home itself, the security you feel of that. But for you, again, this is your third house. So this is asking you to tap into your inner emotional security of what you communicate to yourself, or you're lacking of that communication of that inner emotional security. Are you tapping into the insecurity and writing it? Because, like I said, Lilith here in this energy can be more submissive, more nurturing outwardly than nurturing inwardly. Are you neglecting taking care of the true communication with yourself? Because if you're not completely upfront and honest with yourself, then you cannot be upfront and honest outwardly. And this is part of what you're going to be looking at as you go into this new moon at the end of the month, illuminating what you're learning from the full moon, illuminating the shadow trial work you're doing before the new moon, and seeing what needs to be redirected, where you need to tweak some patterns to work for you in healthier ways, and acknowledge false communication that's actually talking to you about being more insecure than secure. So it's really paying attention to looking at the illumination of securing your communication and your foundation, your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, your inner emotional security, or where are you tapping into the insecurity and you're talking yourself into more of that and giving hope that others will provide it for you, because that's not going to happen. Because it's not that others can't provide, helping you feel good about yourself, but ultimately it's your job to come into inner peace with yourself. And that's what I mean. Now, you don't have anything else going on until we get to your seventh house. Your seventh house right here has the South Node in it. And this is speaking to you all about where you tap into your own self undoing in these relationships. Where do you give the power to the relationship? Where do you give the power to the spouse, to the other people in the relationship? The relationships are any and everything you care about, whether it's your home, family, children. Where are you giving your power away versus keeping an honest balance of harmony in these relationships? The South Node is saying, where are you giving yourself false security and something that's really not real? Because the South Node is everything you're good at, but it's not good for you. And we're talking about the relationships being healthy. So where do you talk yourself into believing that this or that is good for you when it's really not? Because that is a conversation of shadow work and mirror work of not addressing certain character issues of lack of acceptance or love for oneself, and where you act outwardly in that mirror or see what you don't like from others in the relationship, but ultimately it's still a thing you do. So this is about speaking about understanding this message right here of, because I say South Node in Scorpio is kind of like the devil card. It's kind of like it should be death, birth, and rebirth, but it's going, I'm going to kind of keep with these patterns, and I know I'm really not going anywhere, but I'm secure and comfortable with it because trying something new is different. So this is asking you where your relationships are just hanging. They're not really fulfilling. And are you acknowledging if they're fulfilling or not? Because something needs to shift here, starting with your relationship with yourself. Now, you come into Sagittarius, which is your eighth house. And this is where the full moon is. And it's directly across from your second house. Your eighth house is the rules, the walls, the boundaries that help the relationships to grow and mature. And like I said, this is asking you where you're settling in a relationship, but you're not really going anywhere. It's just there. It has no real fulfillment. What do you have to do with these relationships to create the fulfillment? What part of yourself do you have to start dissecting in your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem, into bringing into these relationships? What part of these relationships do you have to bring in to find fulfillment versus what, you know, the other parts of these relationships, these other peers of these relationships are supposed to be bringing? With the full moon here, it's going to put an emotional spin on that. It's going to redirect if the fulfillment is there or if it is not. And it's going to ask you what it is you truly want to see from these relationships. And as you start to see and understand the communication of the relationship as well as the relationship with yourself, then it's going to redirect that new moon at the end of the month. That's going to take place in your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem, your manifestation house, your money house. All of this has to do with, are you truly being fulfilled? Or are you just enough to get by? Just settling. It'll work. It's the keys there. You got to acknowledge them on how important and valuable the relationship really is. Now, your ninth house is where you have Pluto in retrograde. This is coming into new levels of really stepping into your higher self. Really stepping into out of the ordinary a little bit. Stepping into understanding from a higher spiritual dimensional level, yet still staying grounded. See, because Capricorn doesn't like change. Capricorn likes its structure and likes things to be the way it is. Its ethics and its morals. And if you mess with that, you mess with the, the rituals, you mess with its belief system, it gets a little wonky. And you have Pluto here going, there's more to this picture. There's more than you're allowing yourself to see or know or feel intuitively, psychically. You can broaden this perspective if you're willing to tap into it and strengthen your resolve within the unknown, which is going to strengthen your gut feeling, strengthen your intuitive, strengthen your psychic abilities. I always say Pluto is like, though I walk through the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. So this is saying if you trust in yourself, you trust in that higher ascension, you trust in whether it's God, source, or whatever, on that spiritual, psychic, higher dimensional level, and you give it a chance, it's more here to divulge. It has more here to teach you, but you have to be willing to sacrifice where you think it ends and allow it to give it a chance, which will ultimately strengthen your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem, bring it back into your own source energy. So this is a very positive thing for you, but it's really getting at the end of even though it's in retrograde, Pluto it's at the end of those deacons. It's coming to this last couple years. So it's really tapping into the deepest soul parts that are a little fearful and uncomfortable to walk into, but ultimately give you the most truth. It's the most raw. Now, hold on. Your 10th house. Your 10th house is where you're having Saturn go retrograde. And it's the outer world. It's the community of the outer world. It's the society around you, the authority of the outer world. It's the political arena, but it's also your jobs, your career, your honor, your reputation, and having authority in the outer world. This is setting new rules, laws, and boundaries by coming into that power. But understanding when you're coming into that power is not being set from aggressive, feeling like, you're the lion in the cage that has to push back or push to receive or threaten to receive or manipulate to receive. That's not how you stand in authority. That's how you stand in fear, doubt, anxiety, insecurity, which only manifests more of it. When you're in your power, you have nothing to fear. When you're in your soulful connection, there's nothing here to fear. You're tapped in, you're tuned on, you're illuminated, you glow, and nothing can lower that vibration. It's believing in it and acknowledging it. That's part of what that whole Jupiter energy is trying to teach you from the higher self. How to find pieces of your higher self that you've maybe disconnected to or just haven't turned the light on in that room yet. So this is asking you to set the rules, walls, and boundaries to believe in yourself. Set the rules, walls, and boundaries to explore more than what you know. Be willing to go with the changes a little bit. Be willing to shift a little bit, but know when it is going to work for you and when it isn't, so that you can speak up with authority and, do so in a healthy way. And then as we come into Pisces, this is your 11th house. This is where you're going to have Neptune go retrograde in a month. No, at the end of the month, on the 28th, the same day as that new moon in Gemini. Neptune is the magic of the soul. It's fantasy versus reality. It's nostalgia versus logic. The hopes and dreams of the past and what you want to remember versus, is that really possible today? This is your goals, your dreams, your ambitions. Yeah, your goals, your dreams, your ambitions. It is your groups, your memberships, the peers that are part of your life. Are they supporting what you're wanting to bring into fruition? Are they supporting you standing in your power? Are they supporting the shifts and changes you want to try to create for you to be able to find that inner voice of authority, that inner voice of soul sovereignty and strength? Or are they trying to manipulate you and push you around, which ultimately will keep you from knowing yourself or creating the world you're trying to create? And acknowledging here, see, with Neptune getting ready to go retrograde, Neptune's not necessarily looking at the best ideals here of the best ways of creating this magic. He could be in a little bit of illusion, a little bit of delusion, a little bit of fantasy world. This is saying you need to have some focus here. You need to be paying attention as to really where you're manifesting, really where you're taking this energy, where you're rooting this belief system in this outer world of your community, your groups, your memberships, your goals, your dreams, your ambitions. Because ultimately it comes back and shows a character of your own honor, prestige, professional outer world. It's showing a part of you. And are you who and where you want to be? So there's lessons here of how to step through this magic and these cycles by finding the new patterns to redirect, by realizing where those patterns are just going nowhere. Not even failing, going nowhere. A big part of that lesson is your 12th house. Jupiter will go retrograde next month on the 28th. It's already in shadow. It is in Aries, which on a universal level is speaking to you about new cycles, new beginnings. Mars is here coming into power, action, aggression, and wanting to do things. So this is giving you a revved up energy of one of two things, either truly getting in deep with finding your soul healing, finding your shadow work, facing yourself and bringing yourself into your power, or it is truly in denial and shoving that stuff under the carpet as much as humanly possible. And it's asking you to really tweak areas that are uncomfortable. Because, like I said, you have Aries, which is Aries has Mars in it, but it also has Jupiter in it, which is in shadow. Jupiter is ruled by the ninth house universally, which is the higher self. So is the higher self, are you allowing the higher self to show you where you're not tapping into it, where you're not, connecting with it, where you're connecting more with the ego and the illusion instead of the truth and bringing the healing into full circle, or not? Because Jupiter will retrograde back into Pisces, not in July. I think it's August. It will finally go back. And then maybe, I'm not 100% sure, but it will be retrograding back into Pisces, which is the universal 12th house. So in one form, it's leaving a 12th house to go into another 12th house that's going to ask you about your goals, your dreams, ambitions, and the people that you keep. So this is asking you to see yourself through the people you keep, the groups and memberships you keep. To see yourself through, is that showing you your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem? Is it showing you where you're liberated and standing on your own 2 feet, or you're submissive and giving your power away? Because if you're doing this wrong, when Jupiter goes back into Pisces, he's going to make you work for it all over again, twice as long. And this is going to be, the beginning of next year before you get back into this place. So this is asking you to keep your focus, keep your groundings, do your healing, face that shadow work, truly come to know thyself, find thy sacred self in you. And then you're able to stand in your power with authority and show the world, I will not be moved. But you first have to learn not to be moved. I love you guys. See you next month.